Well, now that I have you aware of the value of a positive attitude, and we've been through a few exercises designed to help you get and keep that positivity, it's time to talk about the third requirement for those with a positive attitude. It should be obvious to you by now how important it is to you to have a positive attitude. It will open doors, attract people to you, help you solve problems personally and professionally. Your positive attitude will become a part of your stronger, more resilient, and more productive emotional foundation. Now it's time to meet the third requirement of a positive person. You must communicate your positive attitude to others. Based on the work we had done so far together, you understand what it means for you to have a positive attitude. You know the characteristics and benefits of your positive attitude. What you need to know is that communicating that positive attitude is based on how others perceive your attitude. The fact that you are positive, energized, and optimistic may not be the criteria by which customers and potential customers judge your attitude. Customers determine if you have a positive attitude by how you communicate with them. They perceive positivity through what they see and what they hear from you. If you're talking to them by phone, they pick up a lot from your tone of voice and by the first 10 to 20 seconds of your conversation. Imagine you are always talking to the most important prospect you have ever met, and they will hear it in your voice. When you meet in person, the challenge is to manage their perception of you. Often the first thing that people pick up from a salesperson is your orientation. Are you there strictly to sell them something? What is your demeanor? Do you look like you have something to sell and can't wait to start? Do you come across as warm and genuine? How about knowledgeable and authoritative? The fact is, the way you come across is closely aligned with what you are thinking about just before you introduced yourself. For instance, if the prospect is not dressed like you expect, you might communicate doubt. So be careful that you have a mental checklist and leave your prejudgments at home. Before you meet with your customer, you need to clear your mind. If you're about to phone your customer or walk into his office, then you have time to do all of the following steps. Take a deep breath and clear everything away. If your customer just called you, you've got to do this the first ring. When your mind is clear, you can focus better on your customer. You can focus on listening for key information, his needs, when to close, and so on. But if you're thinking about that deal you just lost or that traffic ticket you just got, then that makes closing your customer all that much harder. Where you're at mentally on a scale from 1 to 10 is important to note. If you're at a 3, then make that shift and go from 3 to 10 just like that. If you work in an office, either all the time or part-time, make sure your desk and cubicle is well organized. You cannot zero in on a customer and see, hear, and feel the little nuances if you have got a cluttered area. This is extremely important. An organized desk allows you to slow down and picture what the customer is really saying. The next step is to spot check your body language. Are you flowing? Are you ready to go? Make sure you're standing up straight. Do you have the body language of someone who is confident? Are you smiling? Make sure that your voice projects confidence as well. If you've just lost a deal or there's an email that you just read that has some cause for concern, you must let it go. If you just had a cancellation, you especially need to change your mind. That next sale could very well replace or exceed the commission you just lost. But if you're focusing on the cancellation that you just had, that will surely bring cancerous thoughts into the sales communication. Now, send powerful mental messages to your brain. Think about your most memorable sale and how it went down. Say to yourself, any objections that they give me, I will overcome with the greatest of ease. The most valuable objective for communicating your positive attitude is where you are focused completely and effectively on being of service to that prospect. This applies equally to high transaction and high trust selling. Once the prospect perceives that you really are trying to help them get what they want, the way they want it, when they want it, and at a price they are willing to pay, they will see you as having a positive attitude. Okay, so now you have successfully engaged with the prospect by preparing your mind and imaging success. The next step is to communicate your positive attitude to your prospect. You start that process by providing them the visual and voice cues your prospect needs to relax and start getting comfortable with you. If you sell in high transaction environments such as cars, electronics, or wholesale, for instance, the time available to communicate your positive attitude is much less. So you have to be crisp and clear in your communications. In most high-trust selling environments, building relationships is done before the actual selling starts. However, the need to be perceived as having a positive attitude begins in the first meeting. A strong indicator to prospects of your positive attitude is your ability to actively listen to them. Selling should start only after you have discovered what the needs, wants, fears, and aspirations of your prospect are. That means you should plan to listen 80% and talk 20% of the time. Your ability to focus on what they say, how they say it, and the clues they give you are perceived as an indication of your commitment to understand them. The more insightful your questions are, the more engaged the prospect becomes, and the faster rapport is achieved. Today, people are more educated on your products and services than ever before. More and more people do their research on the internet before they engage with a salesperson. For the salesman, that means that the value of your service, your personality, and your personal integrity are what give you competitive advantage. Now let's talk about visual clues that prospects use to detect your attitude, starting with your face. Cicero said it well, "The eyes are the windows to the soul." Look away from someone while you're talking to them, and your shifty eyes might suggest you're hiding something. Blink excessively, and you could appear insecure. More positively, maintain steady eye contact to reflect poise and credibility. Communication takes on many forms. It is not only what we say verbally when we talk, it is also our body language, how we speak, and the feelings we cast off. Studies show that 55% of our communication comes from our body language. 38% comes from our tone of voice or voice qualities. Only 7% comes from what we actually say. That means that most of our communication is nonverbal. You must be able to communicate your positive attitude in those proportions, both when you are talking as well as when you are listening to the customer. To get your customer to relax, you yourself must first relax. Monitor and control your breathing. Make sure you're breathing normally. Don't get too excited. Spot check your body language once more. Do you look relaxed? Do you look confident? As you're talking to your customer, say things to yourself like, "I'm relaxed and my customer's relaxed." Picture yourself relaxed. Picture them relaxed. Picture them feeling comfortable with you. Remember that your body language and voice qualities make up 93% of what you communicate, so control them to show confidence even if you don't feel confident that day. Done properly, they won't know that you're nervous, and of course, even the most seasoned salespeople get a little nervous from time to time. But they don't have to see that, and you don't want them to see that. Control your breathing. Your customer's subconscious will pick up on this and guide the degree of rapport they allow you to achieve. Next up, let's talk about how you dress as an expression of your positive attitude. An image is not a replacement for education, experience, or hard work. However, a strong professional image provides the leverage to showcase abilities in the most beneficial way. In today's competitive market, salespeople must not only be competent, but appear competent. Marketing and advertising experts know that the packaging and display of a product play a big part in motivating purchases by customers. For salespeople, appearance is very important. First impressions are lasting. You never get a second chance at a good first impression. The customer's mind is like quick-drying cement. Once the impression is formed, it is very difficult to change it. You need to look like you are representing your product and your company. In terms of personal appearance, salespeople must give careful attention to their dress, grooming, and accessories. They should be well-groomed and dress appropriately. Customers react differently to salespeople who are well-dressed and look professional than to those salespeople who come across as too casual. Studies show that the higher a person's income, the more conservative and low-key you must be when you want to sell something to them. When in doubt, always dress more conservatively rather than less. Wear darker colors and muted tones in shirts and blouses. Be more reserved with accessories. Dress in such a way that you give an overall impression of being stable, solid, and dependable. When dealing with lower income customers, a salesperson is more influential when he wears brighter colors. While I've been clear that the content of your verbal communications is only a small part of your communication, it is still an important one. One reason it is important is that the non-verbal forms of communication depend on subconscious perception, while the verbal communication is processed consciously. Keep in mind that the purpose of your initial communication is to make people feel welcome, to introduce yourself, to make yourself known, allow them to relax, and find out what you have in common. A great attitude has to be delivered. This is about getting your head on right. This is about you communicating verbally in the most positive way possible. Your exercise today is to start a list of phrases you can use in your communications with prospects. Here's a few to get you started. When you've added yours to the list, post it someplace you can see every day. Practice injecting them into your conversations you have with peers, clients, customers, and prospects. Stay with it until these phrases become second nature to you and they become an integral part of the way you think and the way you talk. Can do. Excellent. No problem. You've got it. Be happy to. Great. Super. Whatever you want. I'm here to get it for you. Look, I'm here to serve you, not selling you. I agree with you, sir. You're right. Only you can decide. I love that idea. I agree with you. These are short lines that you can communicate regardless of how you feel and regardless of what's going on in your life. While others can sell similar or even the same products, you know that what you bring to the table for your customers is a truly positive experience they can't get anywhere else. Never forget, you don't just need to change your attitude. You have to change theirs. One of the most powerful phrases is, I agree with you. From there, you can move past any obstacle. But to be effective, it must be delivered with a positive attitude and complete confidence. Try using the phrase, I agree with you, when engaging in conversations with your peers and family, and watch the impact it has on what otherwise might become an argument. The most effective use of this phrase is when you truly do have a service mentality and are willing to do anything to satisfy the customer. The more energy and enthusiasm you use in delivering these phrases, the more positive your attitude becomes, and more importantly, the more positive your prospect's attitude becomes as well. All these phrases and the ones you've added basically communicate a great attitude. Your great attitude may be different than how you feel. No matter how you feel, you have to communicate a great attitude, and the easiest way to do that is verbally. This is the best way to stand above your competition.